All right, guys, so this is the second behavioral video, and yeah, it's under definitely, meaning that this is a behavioral question that you most definitely will get during your investment banking recruiting process. Now, this one is a lot more personalized, so it's kind of hard to give you a like overall framework to follow. So I'm going to try to give like maybe like an example and just a couple things to kind of think through as you're building out your why investment banking story. Right. So I typically, when they ask why investment banking, after you have already given them those three reasons above, it typically means that they want a little more, right? They want maybe like something that's a little bit more personal, something that's a little bit more like in depth, right? Or maybe the bank just requires them to ask that of you, right? So, um, you've already given those like three kind of reasons above in or like your two to three reasons above in your tell me about yourself. So now what I would say is that you kind of give a story, right? And then you follow that with those like two to three reasons. Right? That's kind of the general framework that I've seen work. But I mean, you could go by this like in any way, right? The main thing is like I just keep emphasizing this. Just make sure it's not too monotonous. It's not too like boring and like awkward, right? So I would say something around the lines of like, oh yeah, sure. I have a story around that. I have a story around that, right? So during my time at, um, I guess, yeah, let's just continue on the same example that we had as a petroleum engineer, right? So, uh, during my time as, or actually at Chevron, right? That was the latest one. Um, my job or my goal was, sorry about that. My goal was to, what do engineers do? I guess optimize system processing times, processing times, right? So I have a story around that. During my time at Chevron, my job was to optimize system processing times, and and if you were doing everything right, uh, or whatever you want to say instead of like doing everything right. If you were, if conditions were favorable or whatever, you want to say, right? We would maybe be able to um, cut down, cut down processing times by 3%, right? And during my time at Chevron, so during my time at Chevron, Chevron acquired a like a company, right? You can kind of insert whatever company Chevron acquired in this hypothetical example, right? And or you could say like during my time at Chevron, Chevron was advised to acquire a company by this investment bank, right? Or Chevron was advised to acquire a company through like their relationships at like this investment bank or whatever. Maybe you don't want to say the exact investment bank if it's not that exact investment bank that you're talking to, right? But something around that, kind of pulling it more towards like the investment banking side, right? So during my time at Chevron, Chevron acquired a company, and that cut down processing times by 25%. Whoa, right? Um, and that really made me interested, or that like kind of piqued my interest into the M&A space, and then I learned more around investment banking, or that really made me interested in like the investment banking space. And then you're going to kind of continue and say, as I learned more around IB, I was really drawn to the, and then you're going to touch on the three reasons, or the two reasons that you gave in your tell me about yourself, right? And maybe add a little bit more like substance to these reasons at this point in time as well, right? So um, don't just give the exact words again, right? You could be like, oh, I was really drawn to the analytical nature of it because in my career I started off as this and I kind of got more into an analytical place, and that really was fulfilling for me, and I feel like investment banking is like a natural next step or something like that, you know? Um, I was really drawn to the this is the nature of it. Um, and yeah, then you can just end it off as like, yeah, so that's some background around why I want to go into investment banking, right? So I mean, this like I wouldn't say that this is a framework that you guys should like follow verbatim, right? This is just kind of an example. You could also just be like, oh, I was working in like a less quantitative field, then I moved to a more quantitative field, and like I was working on this thing, and I saw like investment bankers doing this, and that kind of like tied in with whatever, right? The main thing that you're trying to do, and like just some like elements that I found help a lot, is that like if you had like any like interactions, like any interactions at all with investment bankers, right? Your company went under like some form of a merger, they acquired a different company, even if you didn't like, at the end of the day, like I kind of have to be careful how I say this, but like they're asking you a question that I honestly consider to be like kind of a useless question. I don't really understand like the thought process behind why they really want to know why investment banking and all of that. Because at the end of the day, I mean, each of the candidates are going to prepare answers based on like whatever sounds the best. So like prepare an answer that sounds good is essentially what I'm saying, right? I mean, be honest, right? As much as you can, because that kind of comes through, right? Don't just make something up, but like give an answer that sounds good, right? So if your reasoning for why you want to go into investment banking is because you want to like make a ton more money, right? And you think it's like a prestigious field, and um you want to work on like these complex transactions, right? All of those are way too generic and way too broad for them to work as like a why investment banking story, right? So if you tell an investment banker that like, oh, you're interested in investment banking because you get to work on like the most complex transactions in the world, well, like that's not specific to you at all. So that's not like in their head, it's not a great reason for why you want to work in investment banking. Now, I personally think that it's kind of like silly, right? But I mean, you never know the person that you're having the coffee chat or in the interview with, right? Like this is it's just kind of like part of the dance that you have to do, right? So, yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a background around like how you can answer why investment banking, right? So you want to make sure that you have a little bit of a story, then you kind of tie it back to like the two or three reasons that you gave in your tell me about yourself, right? So the whole point is that if someone doesn't want to ask you this why investment banking story, they're just going to take the two or three reasons that you gave in the first one, and you won't have to go into like this like odd spiel, in my opinion, right? So Yeah, that's how I'd answer this question. We'll hop into the next one.